All
There
right.
you go.
There you go. Figured I'd
All
figured
right,
out.
so let's talk some Green Party stuff.
All right.
Um, I had a conversation with, it's not even a conversation. Do you guys remember when I was talking about the 10 key values of California and how that the 10 key values of California aren't listed? It's just questions, and it's 48 questions. All other states have similar but the same 10 key values on their web pages, their state web pages. But us, all we have is fucking 48 questions to confuse and you know and force people to say what the fuck is this about and leave. So I'm having a conversation with this girl. I'm not going to say her name, Nicole Castor, and she is just. I think she's being used, or maybe she's being abused, or maybe she's just a puppet for this guy named Mike Feinstein. And she always comes to his defense. It's almost like a Stepford wife thing. You guys ever seen the movie The Stepford Wives? You ever heard of that? Well, it's about these women that are robots, right? And they do whatever. They're like slaves to these men, and it's really sad. It's like she doesn't have her own opinion. It's almost like he's typing it and she's just posting it. But I do believe, in my professional opinion, that she'll realize that she needs to start thinking for herself, and grabbing that pussy and just saying it's stronger and more powerful than any nut sack out there. Okay, which is the truth. Which is the truth. All right. I mean, like I said, you can flick a guy in the balls and he'll fall to the floor. You flick a pussy, you might get a second date. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So anyway, so the 10 key values. So the 10 key values basically, I'm just trying to use the national party's 10 key values. So it should be uniform across the country, because there's so many different versions and renditions in all these other states. I believe it's just too confusing. If you don't have consistency, in my opinion, in a party, it throws people off. It tells people that I don't think they're uniform. I don't think they're consistent. I don't think they have real solidarity, which is something she brought up in her emails to me, which is kind of sad. But she kept saying we're not going to jam our values down their throat in one of her rebuttals to my saying that we need to have the answers there instead of just fucking questions. And I said, so again, she's saying we're not going to ram our 10 key values down people's throats, I guess, like other states are doing. And I said, you don't have any. They're not even posted. That's how asinine that rebuttal is. That argument has no merit or pertinent information at all. It does absolutely nothing because, again, how can I ram something down somebody's throat if there's nothing to ram? Nicole, Mike Feinstein, and all those fucking crazies out there. I'm sorry. You guys are just nuts.
Here's the thing that really bothers me. What happens is people in the Green Party or any party at that. It's not just to the Green Party.
Right.
Um, it, they have their little groups, their little cliques, their little tribes that they protect, and they say, okay, well, I'm okay with your bullshit, but I'm not okay with somebody else's doing the same thing. So it's like these little cliques, tribes go after these other little tribes and cliques within the Green Party or within whatever party, but
Right.
nobody ever actually cleans their own house. Nobody actually acknowledges that what they're doing is the same thing that they say that they don't like when somebody else is doing. So that's the thing with Eric. It's like I'm sure people are aware of my issues with the Green News Network now, but when if you can't acknowledge what it is, it's like this whole thing with the Native American boy and or the Native American and the boy. You know what I'm saying? If somebody commits a crime, right, and they steal something, you're not going to prosecute them or blame them for assaulting someone. You know what I mean? Because in what you're doing is you're not, you can't take up for the fact, you can't support the narrative that somebody assaulted somebody when it was just somebody that stole somebody.
It's the wrong charge.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
That's my point. Is that people aren't addressing specific issues and being able to acknowledge those specific issues and say, okay, well, in this issue or this specific instance or however mapped out, you know, it's wrong to blame somebody for doing something that they didn't do. My whole point is that it's so backwards because people aren't, they want to support their tribe. That's it. They're tribalists, and the people that they know that are close to them it's okay if they do it because I know them, because I know their heart, you know. And Eric's like, oh, Democrat, calling people Democrats, Republicans, Trump support. It's the same thing. Like what makes you different from Tony? You're still being a gatekeeper. You're still using the Green Party and acting as if your Green Party, your mentality is okay, is the only way. And then you're still supporting and protecting people that are pushing people away, that are using their leadership and their positions to do authoritarian attitudes. And it's not always about, see, they blame the whole cussing thing, right? Like if you call somebody a bitch, you call somebody, like it's one thing to call somebody to define somebody's actions by using a word. That's one thing. It's another thing to just call people names with no basis. Those are different things. But you can't pretend that just calling somebody an asshole for being an asshole is that doesn't exclude people being assholes in a nonchalant and a real soft way. You can be an asshole but not cuss. That's what I'm trying to get at. So these people, the way that they treated you, and they're like, oh well, he's done. What has he done? That guy done. Eric Brooks done good for the Green Party. Nothing. He doesn't even believe in what he believes in censorship. Is that not something that I would assume that the Green Party would be?
Yeah, that's terrible. He's gone after Alex Jones like the Democrats have.
Well, but there's
really
the issues to say, okay, you can say I don't agree with somebody and 99% of what they say, but you can still say I support the right for them to say those things that
that's it.
But you see what I'm saying? That's the conversation that nobody's having.
You're totally right. Yes, thank you. Sadly, him and others like him, there's a few that won't give people a voice. You know, and I've tried to bring people on my show that have problems with each other, whether it's the Green Party of California or Michigan or Florida or Massachusetts, whatever, to let them vent out what they want to talk about. And you got to give people their time to vent. You have to give people their time to discuss what their concerns are, what the problem, because if you talk enough, if you say enough, and if you receive enough, and you're not, because some people are good at listening. You know, we have one mouth and two ears for a good reason. We're supposed to listen more than we talk. I have a problem with that, trust me. But the thing is with these guys, they want to take away everything. It's like, no, you don't get a voice. No, you don't get we don't want Jesse to be in a Green primary. No, we don't. We don't want to hear what you have to say. It's wrong. I'm talking about the 10 key values. They're completely trying to stifle the idea that they don't have any, which they don't.
I want to.
It doesn't make any sense. And what you're saying is the censorship problem with the party should not happen. We are a party of non-fascist censorship, and we have a guy named Eric Brooks in our fucking party that is trying to tell everybody to keep Alex Jones, who is a wacko.
But understand there's the other side of that too is that when you have people that may have good intentions, like Eric Ryberg, they protect people that do that because they've done good stuff or this, and there's the problem is when you don't address it and just say no, we got to stick together, solidarity, same thing, is you can't be together if you don't agree on the common ground, and that's a huge thing. First of all, the Green Party National U.S. should say anybody in a leadership position should not, when it comes to any kind of primary or anything that people make the decision or whatnot, you have to keep you have to be unbiased or be neutral when it comes to certain things. You can support whoever you want, but when it comes to a public, I don't know. I don't believe in the way that they addressed it, because you were excited. You're like, hey, look at all these different things that we're finding out about this guy once we're diving into it, and the guy completely shuts you down, completely dismisses you, completely talks down to you. Even Eric's like, I'm trying to explain to you what the socialist thing. I'm like, you're not trying to explain to me your issues or your what you don't like. You're trying to say no. We decide what's going on, and you're buddying up with the people that are being gatekeepers, just like Tony and them. They're being gatekeepers. Everybody believes that their Green Party way is the only way, and there's the problem. Is I agree with having the conversation. That's the whole thing with GNN, is if you're a Green Party, if you're calling green, okay. If you're going to run your mouth, you're going to keep doing that, then fine. Then you're going to keep getting hit front on, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to say, wait a second, if your values say this, I'm challenging you on that value. You can't support this guy here doing this, and then vocally out loud condemn these other people for doing the same thing that you are accepting with your team, your tribe, your little faction of the Green Party. Go ahead, William. Sorry, man.
Okay. So so back to the whole Nicole Castor, Eric Rydberg thing. I'll say this about Nicole Castor. She took seriously a grievance I had about Mike Feinstein, and I really enjoyed that. And I just think the feud between Nicole Castor and Eric Rydberg, a little joke I want to make about it is just the fact that their feud is evidence that vegans don't get along because they're vegans. And I'm a vegan, but that's irrelevant to what I'm saying. It's just they don't.
It's funny. It just shows how stupid it is. Well, that's all.
Yeah, it is.
That's where we're getting to. Just this is what I want to point out. I created Monotalk for one reason: for people to come on and talk about their what they support, what they don't support, their issues, their problems. I don't want to get drama-ish, but if it has to do with the political position or something that's going to hopefully, in a sense or in a direction, fix the planet and all of its inhabitants, then come on. But if there's an issue with the way you're speaking to somebody, or the way your tone is with somebody, or you're not typing the right words, or you're not saying the right words, because most of these people hide behind Facebook, they hide behind emails. I can't believe that these adults, quote unquote, won't come on and just let me moderate, let me host, let me make sure that you have the allowed time. I'll be we can make sure that everything's done correctly. Everybody gets their time and their piece to say things. But what's the most amazing, here's the most amazing thing is, you can't just talk to each other. I mean, if I got a problem with somebody, I'm going to talk to them. The first at work or whatever, I'm going to talk to that guy first. I'm going to say, or that girl, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I really don't like when you work with me and you keep flicking your boogers all over the place. It just kind of bugs me. Can you not do that? And I'm going to give you a warning that I'm talking to you. And then after that, and you keep doing it, then I'm going to go up the chain of command. But here's the problem with the Green Party. They don't have a chain of command. That's the biggest problem. There's nobody to hold accountable for their actions. So people just flail around like like fish on a beach dying. And that's probably why it continues. But you've got to, at least with that, knowing that, at least come together, use your words, talk, try to get some kind of common ground together. Look, you want to do that, you go ahead and do that. If you think that's going to work for you, good, go for it. If it's going to help the party to grow and evolve, then let's do that. Yeah. And you go over the reasons why it will and why it won't, whatever the case may be. But the thing is nobody will come on here and challenge us on. There was one guy. There was one Republican. Remember that one guy?
Well,
He came on. He didn't even challenge us. He was like,
well,
"I get it. I understand, but I don't know if
it,
that's
and
going."
it was a great conversation, and which goes to show the difference in the attitude. And like it's almost like snobbish, like the green, like the leadership, whatever. It's like a very snobbish attitude. It's like, why are you being so snobbish if you think the Green Party is the real way to go? Which I see. For me, I look at it like this, which is the same way I'm sure everybody does. Is that like the values there, the ideas there, the concept is there, but just like any other party, is the people in, like you said, there's nobody to answer to, and then there's people doing dirty, and what happens is you're stuck in your own little thing where, just like in the Democratic Party, is you're forced to play politics in order to try to get to a point where you have some sort of seniority or some. That's why shit never moves, and that's why for me, and I get it that I'm loud, and I don't mind the cussing. I don't mind the calling names or whatever. That shit doesn't bother me because it's normal. That's normal, like shit talking in order to get to a point. And every day. But go ahead.
I just wanted to say something about that one Republican that came on that James brought on. That one Republican that came on, and he wasn't even arrogant about the topic of socialism. In fact, he openly admitted that that's something that could work. And that's just people humbling themselves and stuff like that. And I do like that. I do like that. And I don't know. I just wanted to say that I really did like that Republican guest we had on. I think his name is Joshua.
Well, and there's the thing. Think about that. Is that they feel comfortable enough to come on there, and see the other thing is it's the you don't attack your own. It's the same mentality as don't cross the thin blue line kind of thing. Is because it is the main point. And anyways, what I'm getting with that is that guy. To have a conversation, it shows what the Green Party's supposed to be. The way that you set up the platform for people to say, "Hey, let's have this conversation. Let's actually get somewhere based off truth." It's like for the right wing, it's like look at how bad they were gaslight over that one issue. Now, if you want to talk about that kid in other instances, whatever they have, that's one thing. Like the whole thing that happened with the Native American thing. There's the point is acknowledging, there are different, you don't blame him for something he didn't do. If you're going to blame him for something, blame him for something that he did do. So what you do, well, and there's my point is there's a perfect opportunity to show that you respect the truth and that you're willing to acknowledge the truth, even though that point goes to the right. Goes to conservatives, if you want to look at it like that, you know what I mean? And because it does, and it shows how they gaslight. It shows how they make villains when sometimes things could fix themselves, or what I mean. They obviously throw gas in the fire.
I just want to say this. What bothered me about the whole situation was a lot of people, what they were saying, what they wanted to do to the children, and that was something that really disturbed me, to be honest. But with the native elder, no, he was walking up to calm down the situation. Actually, he was saying a prayer and stuff. And, and it seemed like they were calming down, but the native elder was getting mocked too, and I didn't like that either. I didn't like the people who were calling for doing all this terrible stuff to the children, and I didn't like what the children were doing to the elder. I think both sides need to take some culpability and some responsibility here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and you're right. And what it does is it shows the problem. From far away, how they're doing it, and the reason why nobody can have a conversation, because you see how the left, regardless, is you can not like the way somebody acts or whatever, but you have to acknowledge in a certain instance, like if they frame it or they made it seem like obviously that the boy was the one confronting, and that was the whole, and they insinuate. That's how they do it.
And I just didn't like hearing all this stuff about what they wanted to do to the children. I made a joke about it. That's really all I did to lighten the mood. It was, you know, I made a joke about the whole situation. I forgot what it was, but no, I didn't like all the stuff I saw about punching the kid in the face. That's just you don't talk about hitting children.
Well, I mean, then there's.
Hold on,
Go ahead.
just a second, please. Do you understand what those kids were doing? Does anybody know?
Well, I've read into the whole situation. Essentially, some black Israelites called the children some slurs, some homophobic slurs and stuff like that, calling them like, "You guys are like babies of incest," or "You're made out of incest," or something like that.
No,
And then
that's
and
okay.
and then the children were yelling back, and it kind of seemed like it was gonna get violent. And then Nathan Phillips, the native elder, walked up singing a prayer, trying to calm down the situation. And a lot of the children, they were mocking the elder.
I know,
I
but
just
that's
I
not what I'm
thought that
getting
was
to. Will, please, just sorry to interrupt you, but I got to tell you what's going on. There are people out there that are influencing these children. These are kids. It's like telling a 14, 15, 16-year-old that the sky is falling. Okay. And in order for the sky to not fall, you have to wear this red hat that says "Make America Great Again." The influences that come, that the village that these kids are surrounded by, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of self pride, there's bigotry. It's pretty bad.
In Catholic Church too, so we
It,
already know what other shit's going on down there too. So
no, there's a ton of stuff, and these guys, and they, and somebody says, you know what? Why don't you guys go down there and make a stand? Because they know there's testosterone and something will happen. The other problem is what should have been done, which I think was good of what the elder did, no doubt. But those kind of people, and most that have the bigotry, have the hate, have the racism that are instilled in them, when you give them the attention, whether it's completely negative, they take it in. You could see it on the kid's face. I'm getting coverage. I'm standing here. I'm doing something. Could he just, this kid thought he was the greatest thing in the world, even though it was the most repulsive position that he could have ever been in his life, which he doesn't understand right now. He has no idea what's behind the mega hat. He has, and when people flaunt it around, they don't really understand what that really represents. Some people do, and some people don't. But the point I'm trying to make is our culture and our society needs a facelift. We need a party that is cohesive. We need a party that has consistency. We need a party that's uniform. We don't need Tony Smith bagging on Eric Rydberg because both of his parents are supposedly Jewish, and Eric Rydberg claims that he's a full-on Indian. Okay, we don't need Nicole Castor trying to tell Jim Young in an email that they don't we're ramming 10 key values down people's throat when there are no 10 key values. There's so many things that are way off and wrong with in so many different levels, in so many different areas of politics right now. It's chaos. I'm watching Let the Madness Begin, and I for sure knew that these guys love Tulsi Gabbard on many occasions. I love those two guys, Mike and Derek or whatever. And what happened is she was on CNN and she commented about the wall, that it's both the parties' problems and they both need to come together. It was a very generic answer to the problem. It's something that probably Pelosi would have said. It's something that probably Dianne Feinstein would have said. And it really bent them in the wrong direction. So we already know that the Republicans, and I'm talking about the legislators, the judiciaries, and the executives, right, at the city, state, federal levels. We're talking about the politicians. I'm not talking about the U.S. voting republic when I talk about the Dumbocrats and the Republicans. What I'm talking about, we need to be cohesive in the Green Party. We need to be cohesive in the Mountain Party. We need to be cohesive in the Peace and Freedom Party. We need to be cohesive when it comes to the Green Stampede and the Green Party Nation. We need to be cohesive in everybody finally getting all this little drama out of the way, all the little drama that happens, drama. Because I'm not a fucking, I don't do Jerry Springer, okay? And I for sure in the fuck don't do, what's that chick's name? Ricky Lake. I got a personal thing with Ricky Lake, but that's in the past. It's not really me, but it's anyway. Or anything like that. It's just gotta stop. It's just gotta stop. We need to find some cohesiveness and common ground between Jill Stein and the Green News Network, believe it or not. We need to find some cohesiveness with Eric Rydberg and Mike Feinstein. We need to find some cohesiveness with the Green New, with us and other parties and everybody that just wants. What do we want? We want full, comprehensive, universal health care with no copay. We want McCutcheon versus the FEC to go away, along with Citizens United. We want to mend relations with wars, with countries that we've abused, instigated, and had wars with. We want to do a ton of things out there to fix not just the country, but ourselves as a nation, because we're turning into a circus. The biggest problem here, Will and Chad, is I'm watching it unfold, and it's like catching on to us. It's like we're starting to get a little bit of it on us when we need to be above that, because we're an intelligent species. We cognitively think in a way that we know that change isn't easy. And for some people, you have to give them facts, truth. And then finally they get it, because they don't always get it in the first run. Okay. Just real quick, Adam versus, what's that guy's name? Adam Ruins Everything. He had a guy that I had on my phone. It was Steven Slotowitz, and I posted it on the, anyway, it talked about people not as us being mammals to be very confrontational to change. It's just the way it is. And some people are set in their ways so deep and so tight that you think that they can't change, or they can't move, or they can't just listen to hear what somebody has to say. And the problem is right now is everybody's just shutting it all up. They're just this is it. This is has to be. It's got to be this way or nothing else. And that's the biggest problem that we're running into. And I just got to say this one last thing, and I'm just going to show you guys something that's really important. Okay, not last thing, but just something I wanted to go over. If you can see this picture, you see that? You guys see the picture? Okay, do you see this picture? Okay. This is a rendition. It's this guy, his name is Greg Knoll, and this is Waimea, and I've surfed Waimea a bunch of times. And I don't know if I've surfed it at this size, because at this size it was about 30, 40 feet, maybe 30 feet high. But this guy was a badass surfer. And that's the only reason why I'm saying this is because that guy is this guy, Greg Knoll. He was a great surfer. And these are the things I would love to talk about. Honestly, I'd like to talk about surfing. I'd like to talk about coaching, basketball and football, and talk about other things. I see how chaotic it's getting out there. And I'm feeling that everywhere. I'm feeling it from the earth up, that there's chaos and craziness, and everybody's mad and frustrated, and minimum wage sucks, and nobody's working, and the list goes on and on and on. And we're attacking each other. When the best way I think we could fix this, and I'm telling you, Jesse Ventura 2020, helping other candidates to get in the House of Representatives in Congress. That it, other than that, if that doesn't work, like I said, I will put on my hula skirt, my coconut bra, after we give a House of Representative, Green Party House of Representative, a chance on the Hill. If he doesn't work or she doesn't work, and if Jesse can't get enough information or get enough going out there, or whatever the case may be, and we need a revolution, I'll be in that spearhead, and I'll go fucking storm the halls of Congress, and I'll go storm the lawns, and I'll swim in the moat out there that I don't even know why they fucking have that. And I'll be the first one to do it. But I'm just telling you guys, our sole concern should not be talking about how, God, how do I say this? We should point out what's wrong, but at the same time, we have to offer a fix. We have to offer a way to discuss and get these issues and problems internally with the party and with other parties and everybody else, so that we can all try to just be a Ohana family. I think it's huge. You can't really comprehend. Maybe I know you guys can. I know you two can. I know you two can. But people need to understand that if we don't start to find common ground, they're just going to let us pick each other apart. They're just going to let us and it's almost like they're steering us in that direction. And when I talk about I talk about the two-party oligarchy and their power on the media. I talk about how both parties are the same old thing. And when I was on Let the Madness Begin with my two guys, I was just saying, that wall, by the time it's done, the Senate report, by the time that border wall is going to be built, by the time it's done, it's going to cost almost $1 trillion, $70 billion. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues, but it's going to be close to $1 trillion to fucking make that wall. But just to let you know, the reason why nobody wants to touch it right now is, if you're a Democrat, and I don't blame them, is because once they pass that bill, it gives them the right to start and complete it. Start and complete the wall. So we're going to have we might, if the Democrats cave, have a 40-foot fucking wall in a border that I used to cross all the time to go get tequila and get fucked up and do drugs. I used to get totally messed up there. I used to love going down there. And now it's going to be different.
James,
now it's going to be fun. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm wondering why you're share screening the waves. Oh.
Well,
no, I know. I'm sorry, guys.
Here's go ahead. You say here's what you say that we need to come together and come to agreement, and that the infighting the problem is that we haven't gone through it. We haven't finished it, because if you can't have people come to the consensus to say, hey, we have to stop being gatekeepers. We have to stop operating like the DNC would, where it says, no, we're not going to let anybody come in and put any energy here. And that's the problem, where you're not going to, it's hard to reach, some sort of common ground. Again, it's these tribalist mentality. And that's the way Eric thinks. I mean, it's the same thing. He's got his little crew of people that he's on their team. They're kind of support each other, and he's playing politics. And he's not allowed to address those issues openly because it's on his team. But if it were, obviously, when it comes to Tony, he's allowed to say that. And that's the problem, is that is the main thing. I think, for me, in my view, my opinion, the only way we can move forward is if we have these, these things because if we don't know what the soul of the Green Party is, and it
We're
can't.
discussing it.
But
That's
that's what I'm saying. But it can't be.
We're discussing. If they want to come on and discuss it, I'd be more than happy to let them come on. I'd like to discuss.
And which he has, but there's like you say, it's mostly done through Facebook. And then when he does, it's like they play the political thing where they're like, well, I don't agree with everything. Well, you know what that says is you say I don't agree with everything, and you're not actually speaking out on the things that they are doing. You are condoning what they're doing because that is still a representation of the party. Period. Still a representation. Eric Brooks is a representation of the party. Eric Ryberg is a representation. Tony Smith is a representation, regardless of what anybody wants to say. And
exactly.
And if you're okay with this, with Eric Brooks saying censorship is okay, because it is okay with him, because he wants to censor you, he wants to censor me, he wants to censor anybody that he doesn't agree with. That's the way he is. Oh, it's just there's excuses that Eric makes, and then when Eric calls names, oh, Democrat, you're a Trump supporter, or you're this, or you're that, you're this, oh, and he does the same thing that Tony does. He just doesn't use the word bitch, or he just doesn't use cuss words, which it doesn't. And there's what people get hung up on.
Oh no, he does.
He does.
Well, no, but what he does, but I'm sure he does, but for in the little thread we just went through, he's like, oh, well, Chad just gets all upset. I went on there trying to tell him about the socialists, and he just wants to call people bitch. No, I don't want to just call people a bitch. I call people a bitch because you are sucking somebody's ass, because they are in your little group. They got a higher position than you, and you want to buddy up. And you're saying, I'm okay with the way this guy acts in this manner because he's a part of my team. But when Tony does it, or when GNN does it, I'm against that. And what you're saying, you're just as bad as Tony. You're just the left wing of the Green Party, and Tony's the right wing of the Green Party. It's the same thing. There's no centralized thing where there's. For me, that's why I'm doing this shit, is because nobody's doing that. It's even just except us because
Well, I mean, I just wanna talk about the fact that, just the arrogant way that this Eric Brooks is talking, and how he said he got James removed from the official Green Party of the United States Facebook group, when I need a cough. When
Hey, so just let me show you guys something real quick. William, just please, just 2
Actually,
seconds. I'm just going to show you.
I'm just wondering if you could, but before you do that, could you also show what Eric Brooks said about, and I got you removed and this and that, just that whole like.
No, we don't need to show it.
But here's
I just wanted to bring it up then.
Chad, you're muted, Chad. Unmute yourself.
There we go. I mean, but there's a thing though, is if we don't put a spotlight, see, people are okay with that because they're okay with subtle and nonchalant, like backhanded shits. But when it comes to, and here's the thing, is like I'm not defending GNN, I'm not defending Tony. All I'm defending that if you're gonna be against this certain attitude, when GNN does it, you have to be against that for yourself. And I'm just. People just allow it. They're okay with it. They're like, oh, well, a leadership position, and you're doing a Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a leadership position, and you're telling, and you're pulling people from other places, the guy from North Carolina, and then it's the same thing.
Some other guy from Michigan.
It's a circle jerk, and
okay, we get it. I get it.
But they don't get it. You guys out there don't get it.
They don't want to. What I'm saying is that they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to come on the show. They don't. You see, what I'm trying to get to is, by the way, I'm just going to show you guys something real quick. Okay, he got me booted off of this, right? The Green Party of the United States, right? They put me back on today. Because they put me back on today because I sent an argument, and I just told them, hold on, can you guys still hear me or what? Can you guys still hear me? Okay. For me, my goal is basically this, and I got to get moving here pretty soon. My goal is basically this. I need these people to talk to each other. I need them to talk to me. I don't need them putting up little words on Facebook, little words on emails, little words on Twitter. We need more people to talk. We need people to come together and hash shit out. So when Harsh Med wanted to bring David Cobb on, and he wants to go after him tooth and nail, I get it. I understand why. I'm with him on that. But the thing is do you want to have a discussion, or do you just want to argue with the fucker? You know, do you want to try to resolve it, or do you just want to have a screaming and yelling match? You know, I mean, what is your motivation? What is your mission? So if they come into it with the intent, if they come on my show, if they want to do this, it's not therapy, it's not counseling. I'm not doing fucking marriage counseling, but I'm just kind of like that. Then it's going to be monitored. It's going to be, hosted. It's going to be regulated. It's going to be, we're going to make sure that everybody has their time. But they've got to try to fucking talk to each other.
And you know what? Name your variables. Name how you want to have the discussion. You want to talk for 3 minutes. Like, here's the thing. That's the thing, is that people, they won't do anything. They won't adjust anything. And because you do need to have the conversation, and you do need to hash it out. And prospective Green people need to know that the Green Party is not acting in the Democratic, where they say we just sweep underneath the carpet just to try to get. You're never going to get anybody in that way, never. And all you're doing, and you have to be able to address it. And for me, I'm not worried necessarily about making them understand it. I'm more about making everybody else understanding the Green Party. These motherfuckers, this type of attitude, this type of treatment of people, this type of leadership is a no-go if you really care about your Green Party. And if you don't, then I mean, that's the thing, is you don't. If you allow those people, you just don't. You're saying you're okay with the way they act. Just like Debbie Wasserman, just like Donna Brazile. It is what it is. And Eric Brooks a coward.
Okay, so like one more note on that, since we're doing an Eric Brooks, a shitting on Eric Brooks fest. Call that. But
no, that's not what we're doing.
I know. I'm just I don't. It's just whatever.
He's making a joke.
Acts like a coward because he won't confront anybody.
I know.
He deletes and makes it.
He has quite the foul mouth. When he's typing it up and sending it to you for you to read. But when it comes to like face to face or even just video conversation, he's just like, no, and he makes up excuses and stuff like that. But no, I did send the screenshots of what Brooks said to James, the whole boasting about how powerful he is, and I got you removed and stuff. And one of the admins of the official group didn't like that at all. And so I suppose that's one reason you got accepted back in. But I'm telling you, a lot of the people in that group pissed me off because they removed and reported to Facebook, and I got logged off for it. One of the posts, and then Facebook said it was inappropriate for whatever reason. But it was Ajamu Baraka's video of him and Jesse talking about the Black Alliance for Peace and AFRICOM, and that you would delete Ajamu Baraka's post. Are you that insecure that you would delete Ajamu and Jesse's conversation? Well, that's stuff that gets me livid, but whatever.
And you got to remember, these people, these, and you could tell these people are not used to having any type of pushback. Your Tony Smiths, that's your Eric Brooks. That's how they operate. That's what they're used to, and they use a lot of language where it makes themselves the victim and then puts themselves in. I mean, that's more Tony, but these people. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. Like, that's why I'm more about putting them on blast, because if you think, if you're that smart If you think you're that hell of a leader, then but you can't acknowledge this shit. Then I'm done pretending like you have something to offer me.
Chad, it's like James said, you have to mix it together. You gotta mix it, I guess, with your method of putting them on blast, but you also actually have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean for
So,
sure, but see, there's the thing. It's like, I mean, for me,
it can't be. I'm sorry.
no,
It just can't be an entire yell fest.
I mean, I agree with that, and I'm trying to get better about that. My thing when it comes to like the harsh and all that kind of, I'm just at a point like I'm yelling at fucking children because I'm trying to explain basic. This guy did this. You said you're against this, but you did this. That makes you a liar, and then you're supporting the liar by proxy by not condemning what he's doing. Just because, so it's like I'm frustrated, and that's why I'm at the point, and it's good because it's fueling me up, and I'm seeing what's wrong with the Green Party. I'm seeing it, and people talk about it. See, the crazy thing is this is exactly the thing that people talk about, the problem with the Green Party, the very exact thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're on the money.
I mean, Chad, I just for me, it's how do I put it? I'm not someone in day-to-day life that's considered known for his good temper. I don't have a good temper. Usually on video, I'll keep I'll keep it all on the calm or in public. But I'm someone who can get very angry and I yell and I break things. I do, and that's not the persona that
You actually physically break things because of people and comments?
Yeah,
Wow.
I do.
Will, no.
Yeah, see,
no,
I'm past that. I'm just
But I just, it's I I try to, as long as people don't see that, I don't get embarrassed by talking about it.
Okay.
And so I like the way that I'm talking right now, I just try to keep it like calm and level, and it's all fine. It's all fine for me. I just, like okay, it's whatever. I Somebody wants to call me this, call me that. It's whatever.
No, it's all right.
no.
Go ahead.
See,
Go ahead, Chad.
you wanna be able to, grow and see, that's the thing with me. Like, this shit is, I'm learning a lot, and I am trying for myself is to be a little bit more articulate when I go after these cats. But part of it is it's to rah because you're not used to seeing rah, and when it comes to the GNN, that whole thing is when these people, you use this certain type of method, which is the cussing, the loud talking shit to people. I'm using that same type of weapon that they use towards people. So that's more of it's more of to show exactly what they're doing, and I get caught up in that shit. So for me, I want to be better because I'd rather explain it, but my problem is I get involved because I genuinely wanted to try to help them because I saw the problem from before, the basic, not the internal issue. But I saw it and I'm like, okay, the idea is good to say to address the internal issues of the Green Party. I thought that's what it was about, and to give people information. So, like when I go, I'm pissed. Like when it comes to harshness, like dude, I put this fucking energy in, and you guys pretend like somebody's energy doesn't matter. It's something that frustrates the hell out of me. But I agree with you. There's better ways to address issues. I mean, sometimes you have to be like that. Sometimes just being loud and lets these cats know that.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I hate to be like that. I hate to be like that.
You got to call a spade a spade. You can't call an apple a banana.
And it's language, and it's a different language too. So it's like some people may take it as aggressive, and it's not a violent issue thing. It's just that's the way I talk, and I'm loud. I'm like at a 0 or I'm at a 10, and I've been that way my whole life. And the only thing now with my whole shit is that I'm trying to be more principled, and my frustration and my being pissed at something, I want it to have meaning, so my energy's not wasted. Just to be upset, just to get flustered, like so.
Oh, say, Will, I'm telling you, there are times when I've gotten off my own show, and I've been upset, but honestly, I don't think I've ever gotten too crazy. And I'm not saying crazy as it being bad. I'm saying that.
I mean, you're not. I don't know if you're bipolar, but I'm bipolar.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's fine. Everybody's got their thing. But I will say this: Chad's seen what I look like. I've had a wonderful time with him and his family and his daughter, and just I can run through a house if I had to. That's how I'm built. And the thing is I can't. I mean, I'm out at 15-degree weather doing 3 5-minute rounds on my back, hitting it, boop, 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 kicks, elbows. So I have to, with me, because I've done MMA and all this shit for a long time, I have to control myself. And I've learned how to do that over time. I see a lot of Chad in me when I was his age and before. Tons. Ask my exes, ask my old friends. I'm very similar to Chad. But over time and just age and just, you're just at a certain point, because I am a little older than you guys, and it's good to have Will's perspective. It's great to have Sir Chad's perspective. It's good to have my perspective. And I'm not saying mine's always right, because fuck, it is good to fucking say, look, you piece of fucking shit. Don't you fucking say that shit because you are a motherfucker. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying it, because if you're in the right, and I know from what I've seen in my research and my investigation, a lot of things that Sir Chad's done, is he's been in the right. So he had every right to be in that position, to be in that moment of frustration and anger and being upset and being betrayed and all this other shit. Absolutely. And Will, totally for you as well. But when it comes down to it, if we're going to try to fix things, there's got to be a point where we can all just kind of breathe and try to fix it, because we're all trying to get the same things. And this is where it gets political. This is where we have to try to fix those things. So my goal is, and the reason why I'm calling the crap that we have here, is because it's all a bunch of crap. And we need to clean the crap out of the basement. You know what I'm saying? Because it stinks, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, and you're right. You're right. We have to come to a point where there has to be some sort of platform, some sort of model way of discussing these things. And and maybe I'm rah-rah now, but that's the whole thing, is I want to get to the point where you don't have to get upset, because you're addressing the issues, you're addressing the points, and you're acknowledging the points, and you have people that you respect telling you, hey, you know what, they're right about this point. If we can acknowledge, and I get it, when it comes to me, and some people don't like my approach, and I get that, and the approaches are different, and that I understand, but we gotta figure it out somehow. And that, for me, I'm like good cop, bad cop. If I gotta yell at a few motherfuckers to get their attention, so James can be like, hey man, listen, we're trying to bring people together, like, like,
you guys don't want to talk to this guy. You don't want to talk to him, especially in handcuffs.
Right.
Because you know what he does? He brings out his billy club. And sometimes he drops it accidentally out of his holster. And he'll whack you upside the head. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. What are those kind of deals?
Something like that.
Is Will's camera not working? I'm really getting Will. I like this picture of you, but I'm telling you, you need to get your camera.
We want to start seeing.
I'm using my phone, and I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to use my phone's camera. I like to use my computer camera better.
All right, listen, guys. I've got to be. This has been a great discussion.
Can you just do an outro for Jesse? Can you just do an outro?
Yes, let's do it. Go ahead. You guys have anything? Because I was gonna.
Well, I want you to do it, James. You're best at it.
Well, yeah. What do you want to say? Anything? Like, let's go around and then let James finish it off.
What I think is important is that I think that we might get something going here in April, and I know it's a month or so away. That could be very important to the Jesse Ventura POTUS run. I just want to let everyone know that I'm doing whatever I can to build a relationship with as many people I can that immediately surround Jesse, to let him know that we fully support him, and that once he says he's going green, once he says he's running, okay, well, running period, I'm still going to support the guy. You know what I mean? Because he needs to be heard, even though he's not with a party, and if he wants to go independent, he needs to be heard. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So what I'm gonna say is it would be fantastic if he would just to go with the green process, which I think would be fantastic. But we need more people from the Green Party to Twitter him and support him and say, come on, we'd love you to come on and go green, because I just don't see any other party that has the values that's needed to save this planet and all of its inhabitants. Because all these other fucking parties out there just don't give a shit about us or anything. That's where we're at. Was that okay, Will?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
You want to add something? Please. If I forget anything, you guys throw it in there.
Well, I mean, I'm just like, it's really hard to hold that one secret in, but I'm holding it in. That's why
What
I
are
just
you
wanted
talking
you
about, secret? Okay, we gotta go.
the email.
Well,
Maybe.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The main thing is where we're at now is that we do have to build the energy and the idea. Here's the thing. It's the idea and understanding what Jesse will bring. And even if Jesse doesn't run, because that's what we're really waiting for him to come back from Mexico, make his decision in general, and he's still his platform, the things he talks about, not being for the Democratic Party, not being for the Republican Party, and talking about truth and talking about certain types of things, honor and all these kind of things. Like that's the key for me. Is there's a lot of qualities that as a leader I like in Jesse. Those are some of the things that I'm looking for in a presidential candidate, regardless of who it is somebody that's going to really go after the two-party system and the corruption, and that's very vocal about it. Because if you're not vocal about that main thing, then everything else doesn't matter, because everything else falls underneath. Once you get a where you can actually honestly vote and honestly be represented, everything else will fall into place. But until we go after those root issues, which is money in politics and the screwing with the elections and the media manipulation and all that, those main things, then everything else is you're not gonna be able to do anything else. Everything else is you're just fighting for incrementalism, because you're still fighting the fruit that's already being grown or whatever.
Tossed the candy. It's the better way I think I'm trying to say is candy that's being tossed to all the. It's like you can feed a village of deprived people with candy that's going to satisfy them for 28 seconds to a minute, or you can give them fruit that's going to nourish them for a few days. So what you're saying is you have the mainstream media, and I'm talking CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Al Jazeera, PBS, the BBC. I mean, the list goes on. They got this one News Nation now or something like that keeps throwing out this baloney that these two parties are going to do something. And what you're saying is exactly correct. Is exactly correct, Chad. You need somebody to start talking about the two-party oligarchy. He's going to bring that up. You won't get a Democrat ever fucking talking about that. You won't get a fucking Republican ever saying those fucking words. You won't hear duopoly. You won't hear two-party oligarchy. You won't hear what's the other term? The system. Sometimes I think Republicans say the establishment. They call the Democrats the establishment sometimes, and I'm all, spoiler alert, you're fucking part of the establishment, you idiots. Okay, or listen, I'm gonna go. I gotta go. Do you guys want to keep going?
Oh wait, James,
Yeah.
can you stay on for 3 minutes after we end the stream? Can you spare 3 minutes?
Okay.
But for private, not public.
Gotcha. I'm going to.
All right.
I'm gonna do the.
Okay, so let's all say aloha, aloha.
Aloha. I'm going to share the.
Aloha.
I'll get the song back up again.